Hello friends, it's Kathy Clement with Kathy by Design. Welcome to Make and Take Tuesday. It is time for us to make our November Photoplay Year with My Gnomies shaker folio. So you're going to want to pull out your Year with My Gnomies, the November cards page, and the November icons page. Such great colors this month. And then you're also going to need your November stickers. So once you've got those out, I decided to work with brown and then orange cardstock to go with the colors in the collection, but you could easily go with a gold or even a teal would be quite beautiful. I'll leave that up to you. These were just colors I had out on my desk. The first thing you're going to do is cut two 8.5 by 6 inch panels of your brown cardstock. Go ahead and score the first panel at 6 and then place a 1/2 inch strip of score tape on the outside edge. And we're going to line this up just like this. Burnish it down. And now we've got this nice long piece that we're going to put on our scoring tool. The first score is at 6, then fold, make another score at 6, then score at 9. And this is our folio base. So it folds in like this and out like this. That forms our little pocket right here. So we want to make some little gussets. If you've never done this before, they're just little folded pieces of paper. Mine are 1 inch by just over 1.25 inches because our pocket is 1.5 inches. And I've scored them in half and you just fold them. Open your little pocket flap here. Place adhesive on your gusset. And I know a lot of you have done this a million times, so feel free to skip ahead, but I always like to show this technique just in case there's somebody new who's come along and has never done it before. So the whole idea is you glue the folded edge of your gusset against the cut edge of your paper like this. All right, and before we glue these shut, take a piece of your orange cardstock or your teal cardstock, whichever you went with, and this is cut to just over 2 3/4 to just over 5 3/4, just a tiny bit. And I'm just going to glue this down. This is our pocket liner. It's easier to just go ahead and do it now than it is to do it after the fact. So now that that's in place, put your adhesive on the inside part of your gusset and fold it closed. Burnish it down. All right. And then for the pocket flap, this is just over 1.25 inches by just over 5 3/4. So go ahead and put that down. Then open your folio. We've got another piece that same size that's going to go on the inside. Like that. And then for our left-hand side, we've got a piece of our orange that is cut slightly over 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. And normally I wouldn't line this one, but because our calendar is also brown, I wanted just that little bit of contrast to break up all the brown. So there we go. There's that. And then take your November calendar from the icons page and trim it to, I think I went just, let me see. This is 5 3/4. My 5 3/4. So I'm going to trim it just a little bit more. I want it more like, and this is how I do it. I just take a little bit off at this side, turn it. I'm taking about 1/8 of an inch off each side so that it ends up, the design is still balanced, but it's going to fit our, I want a little bit more of that orange popping. So you can see these are just little 1/8 inch strips. And see how much better that looks? It just pops. And that's the whole idea. That's what we want. So we can glue that in. And then in our center, we have another one that is 5 3/4, just over, a little over 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. Then on the back cover, we want a piece that is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. And you're going to need another one. This is just over 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. I want to make sure I'm telling you the right thing. And you're going to need another one for your front cover. Bring in your cards sheet. And I want you to go just over 5 1/2. I want you to cut and turn it. And cut. So this is the section you've cut out, and this is going to go on your front cover like this, okay? And I decided I did want to bring in a little pop of this teal. So this is going to, I just matted my cut square of the designer paper on it and then trimmed around it. And I'll give you a measurement in a minute. I don't measure it. I just cut it the width that I want it to be, and then I'm happy with it. But I know some of you don't feel comfortable unless you have measurements. So let me, and that teal is, I'll hold my ruler up so you can see that, okay? I mean, yeah, 5 5/8 and 5 3/4. Sorry, guys. So just a hair wider than 5 5/8. But I love that little pop of teal. I think that's pretty. Let's go ahead and cut up the rest of our card sheet. And if you have one of these precision cutters, you can just line up, cut off the bottom border with the branding strip attached. This makes it easy for us to make pockets, and then come up a row and we want to cut out this whole row. And of course we're going to use our tags, and then here, let's see, we'll cut off this little strip right here. Set this aside. We can use this for the top of our tag. Then cut these two little pieces together and cut this with this extra piece on there, and keep your little Thanksgiving gnome. We'll probably use him on the cover. So I've got this Reneabouquets pumpkin. These are her layered pumpkins. And I like this one because it's got all this open space. This is going to be our shaker element. So what I want us to do is lay the body of this pumpkin here. And then we're just going to trace around the outside of it with a pencil. Now come in with your scissors and cut along your traced lines. And it's not going to be perfect, but don't get all upset about this. Just cut it as close as you can. All right, now bring in the base part. All right. So let's try this out and see what we got. That is pretty good. All right, so I've got a little, this is a burnt sienna paint. This is from Deco Art. And I removed my silicone mat down to my glass mat from Glass Mat Studios. And this is why I love this mat. We're just going to paint the edges. And this paint, this fluid acrylic, is a very, it's very fluid. So a little bit, you can see I'm just using a little bit and it goes a really long way. Just go ahead and paint the edges and you don't have to worry about being perfect. I want this to be more of a russet color. I didn't want it to be orangey orange because I'm going Thanksgiving, not Halloween. Okay. Those of you who actually really paint are probably grimacing. I'm not really a painter, but I can fake it pretty good. All right, now we're going to take the top part and we're just going to paint it. And this I'm putting on a little darker, a little thicker. I'm not brushing it down as much because I want this to have a little contrast. And just by changing the amount of paint that you apply, you can change the tone. Look how easy this cleans up. Even after it's dried on a little bit, it just comes right up. I love this glass mat for mixed media because you can heat over it and it doesn't hurt it. You can paint on it, it doesn't hurt it. You can ink. These are great, great mats. Okay, so here's our dried off pumpkin topper. And what I did was I just took my clear cardstock and glued it to the back. Don't bother going up over the leaf and the stem and the vine. There's no need to do that. Just do it along here. And then you're going to come in with some 1/8 inch foam strips. And you're just going to follow the shape of the pumpkin. I'll do 1 row for you. You're going to do 3 rows total. So just get that put down there. These are scrapbook.com 1/8 inch foam strips. I really like them. I find that they work very well for me. I'm going to go down this way. Well, no, I'm going to go ahead and do this way. I like the thinness of them. The adhesive is very, very good. And if you take the liner off, as you can see, they're very flexible and you can make them fit odd shapes. So I'm just going to keep going around like this. The main thing you want to realize, the main thing you want to watch for is where you join them up. Make sure they butt up against one another. You don't want any leaks in your shaker box. So you can see I'm just following the outline shape of the pumpkin, and I press it down a little bit. I'm trying to keep my fingers off the top of the foam. I'm guiding it by the sides. And I apologize if my head gets in the way. I have to see what I'm doing here so that I don't end up trying to keep my head out of the way. All right, so now here's where we start our second row, and I just keep going. So go ahead, you want 3 rows total, doing just like that. So I've put my shaker mix inside my pumpkin. This is a bunch of different stuff I had in my stash. This is Buttons Galore Reindeer Games, but I took the reindeer out. This is a button mix that they had a while back called November Stroll. And these are the buttons, and these are the shakers. I separate those out. Then I had some copper leaves from my stash that I also put in there. So this is our little mix. There's pearls and everything. So now we're going to take our, whoops, that's what I didn't want to do. But a good time to tell you that you don't want anything stuck to your foam, because if it is, you won't get a tight closure. So let me just remove these little bits and bobs from here. All right. Make sure everything is in the center. And I put quite a bit in here, but there's no image or anything in here. And some of the sequins are always going to stick to the sides of the foam. So, wow, this guy does not want to go in there. All right. I'm just adjusting my foam where I feel like it's sticking too far into the frame. We're just going to line this up, press it down. Oh, that's pretty. All right, so there's our shaker front that we do. This is a little bit different than what we normally do, but how fun. And I've got one little sequin sticking out. Okay, so I always come around and I check. And you can just kind of pinch as you go to make sure everything is really sealed. And that looks good. And you can see I don't have any gaps, which is important. And we've got a little bit of foam tape showing, but we're going to put gnomes over that, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. So there's the shaker front done. Let's finish off this little shaker box. I took a piece of grosgrain ribbon and just tied a square knot, then took this vintage dressmaking pin and looped it through, put these charms on some jump rings, and threaded them on to my pin. Then I've got this piece of baker's twine, and I went with teal. I'm going to put a little dot of glue right here. Add my twine. Then I threaded an orange button. And we're going to put it right in the center, like that. Whoops, got some glue webs going on there. And then I'm just going to trim this back a little bit. There. All right, so there is our really cute pumpkin shaker frame. Set this aside, we'll bring it in at the end when we do the cover. All right, guys, let's get to work on the inside of this. On our little flap and pocket page, I lined it with slightly smaller panels of the teal. I really like the way the teal looks with this paper collection. And then from the border piece, I cut out this Happy Thanksgiving This is about 1 1/8 inches. So I'm going to use the leaf side, and then this is the other part of that border. And we're just going to line this up over here with the stripes on the outside, like that. Turn the page, center, take your November, trim it so that it is 5, I think I went 5 5/8 is what I did, but let me double check. Yep, 5 5/8. So you're just going to trim it like I, showed you before. Add your gussets to the back, score along the branding strip. Fold this up. And glue this down here as your pocket. You can leave a little bit of the teal showing on the bottom if you like, or you can go right all the way to the bottom. It's up to you. And now we're going to cut a piece to cover up here, and let's see, we want to go, it looks like 3.5 by, let's say 5 3/8. Look how pretty that looks together, you guys. I love that. Okay. Then in this pocket, we've got our little journal card. Let's take the leaf tag, and I've got these scraps that we saved earlier from trimming the cover. We're just going to fold these in half and cut little V's, fishtails. Some call them banner flags. There's all kinds of different names, but basically it's a V. We're going to put this on the top. I'm going to take my tiny attacher and just staple that on and put it in the pocket over here. And then we have these two pieces that are hooked together. I scored between to make a little side folio like so that. Over here, I've got a piece of our plaid. And I realize I'm not using a lot of the Gnomes paper. To me, the yellow, I'm not as fond of that. But anyway, that's just personal preference. You feel free to change things around. This is just under 2.5 by just under 5.5. I really love the combination of the browns, the teals, and the oranges and the rusts. So I'm kind of sticking with that. But you can, you can make yours with whatever color palette you like. Then I have this little piece. This is from that Hello Fall. And I've cut this to just under 3.5 by 2. And I've scored 1/2 inch on the bottom and 1/2 inch on the sides. We're just going to trim this out and make a little pocket. So when I trim, I trim right where the vertical and horizontal score lines meet. And then see how nicely your flaps fold back. It just makes for a nice, neat, square pocket. And then this is going to go right here. So pretty. And then we've got our this guy, he's my favorite. This little acorn cap gnome goes right in the pocket like that. And we just need to make a couple little folios, one for here, one for here. All right, let's see if we can't finish this little folio up. I've added my ribbon closure just by putting score tape around, and I did add these cute gnomes to the back. On the inside, I've dressed it up with our stickers. I took a little scrap of paper and added this cute image with some scraps above and below to make a little mini folio for journaling. And then dressed up this little pocket Here's our November pocket. And here I just pieced some scraps together, used one of the stickers and made another little journaling spot here. So that finishes up the inside. Now we'll go to work on the outside. Let me just tie these strings. I went with the teal because I really like how it looks with the orange and the brown. I just think it's really pretty. I'm just going to tie this right now just to get it out of the way. Let's bring in our cover that we did earlier. And then I just took a piece. This is a, hold on. This is 5.5 by 3 of this Icons paper. And I put little pieces of the teal back behind it just to create a border so it'll pop. And then this was a little tiny scrap of the kind of harvest stripe. And I want to glue this down in the middle because this is going to help our shaker box to pop. I'm not 100% sure what we're doing here, but it's going to be good. That much I do know. So let's go ahead and glue this down. Right in the center. Now let's bring in our shaker box and see how that helps it pop. Boy, I love the way this thing turned out. This is really gorgeous. Let's glue this down. I forgot I cut these little banner flags to go under our pumpkin to also provide a little contrast. So before this sets up completely, I'm going to try to sneak these in under here. Hopefully I can. There we go. There we go. And push this back down. That worked. All right, okay, I think I have this figured out. I've got some leaves from my stash. These are old Prima leaves. I think they were from Autumn Sunset, but they might even be from Amber Moon. I'm not sure. And then I've got these little birdie flowers. I've got a teal. And a yellow that I'm going to tuck back behind that. And then an orange I'm going to lay over the top like this. So there's our little flower cluster. Then I tied a bow. I'm going to tuck this in down here. Whoops, that was hot. Go. Oh, that's cute. I don't know how you feel about the teal, but I'm a fan. I really like the way it works with this month's color palette. I think it's really beautiful. So there's that, super quick and easy. Tell you what, I'm going to take our little pilgrim gnome, and I am going to adhere him back behind these flowers because I really like the way that looks. Isn't that cute? Yeah, I like that. So let's put these leaves down here. Just like that. I just want to lift him up a little bit from the create a little depth and dimension. So let's put him right here. And that finishes the cover. I don't think we need to add anything else. I had some leaves and stuff that I had prepared, but I think this is super cute, just like this. All we have to do now is add it to our front cover. Wow, that feels so warm and cozy, just like you want a November Thanksgiving to be. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday. All right, guys, that's it for me, Kathy Clement, Kathy by Design. That's our gnome of the month for November. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm going to clean up my mess and go get my craft on. Thanks for joining me. Bye.